Okay, so I am presenting on a report I did, instructional data report I did for CWI 101. They did a pilot course. CWI 101, as you probably know, is basically this class that all students take to orient them to CWI and higher education to give them the skills to be successful. And so it's a key class in that way. And there were two lead instructors, Liza and Amy, and I believe they're here today. And then they worked with CTL, with our instructional designers to build that class with pathways in mind, pathways towards that degree, to get into that degree. So they redesigned that, put that in as a pilot. The traditional option was still available. And so they needed a report to see how they were doing, how the students were doing and what trends they saw. And that report was made available this month. And it went back to fall 2022. And it shows to the present. And a secondary opportunity that we had for this report was I have been designated as a department-based report writer, as our IR team is very stretched as far as their bandwidth to get to everybody. So they are training report writers with different departments. So I had an opportunity to increase my skills in that way and providing this report for the CWI 101 lead team. And so what action did we take with this is basically they were able to see the student activity from week to week during the term, and they can see the current grades, and then they can also see the verified grades of past terms, which they've done this for fall 2022, and now they're doing it for spring 23. So it's pretty new, and they're able to see that data. And then they can compare the pilot groups, the ones that are going with the pathways curriculum versus the traditional. And then this is just a picture of what the report looks like. And it's presented, it's distributed on Power BI. And they have the page for the activity. So basically they can see that the average course access, how many times do they access the course every week, how many minutes are they in the course, the interactions, meaning those are basically clicks that are counted when they're within the course, and then how many submissions per week. And then they can slice that a few different ways. They can slice it with the term, the 16-week. They could go to the 18-week, which right now it just started, so there's not a lot of data there, but they'll see that as it goes along. And they can also slice this down by delivery style, and also they can look at our first term or continuing students. Then they can look at the current grades. And this is sliced by a larger group the entire term, which that's something that working with a group, we can refine that if they want the same slice that's on the first report, because this is bringing in our 8 weeks, which is bringing the blank a little higher than it was by the end of the term, which we'd work through to make sure everybody was reporting grades. So they have the different slicers to look at that, and then they can look at the verified grades after the term has passed. So that's information they have to make decisions and work with design. And let's see, anything you want to say, Amy or Liza, in that regard?
I mean, aside from thank you, this has been really helpful.
Good. All right. Okay, and to wrap it up, the value is they have the real-time access to student activity and performance. And then that will probably lead to additional questions we can look at, but they can see the data real time. And it provides a starting point for how we can use the LMS data. So this is one of the first reports that's been available directly to the instructors in this way.
Grace, I guess I would also add that the way we're using this information right now in real time is that we are using it to streamline further and redesign the course. I think in case the people on the call don't know, based on our preliminary data, we decided that we were certainly not doing any harm with this new model. You could kind of see how the pilot class was just slightly better with engagement. It's not a huge difference, but we're certainly not harming anyone. So we are moving forward with the 5 pathway course model for the fall for all CWI 101 courses. But now we're using this report that Grace has created to help us kind of streamline and refine, looking at the weeks where we see lower engagement to see what we could maybe do to help boost that engagement with students. So it's a really, really great report for us, and we appreciated all of Grace's work.
Thanks, Liza. And also, I'm just thinking like ahead, we could, as these groups move to completion, we can look at completion rates of both groups too, which I think will be interesting. All right, thank you. Any other questions, or does anyone have any questions?
I've got one. I've got a couple. First, good job. I love dashboards. First one is real-time data tends to be kind of a buzzy word. What is the actual refresh rate? Is it daily, hourly?
It's 3 times a day. So yeah, no, it's not real time. You're right. It's 3 times a day.
I use that bit because we get a lot of requests around this place about real-time data. 3 times a day is probably appropriate, right? Unless you're going to take an action in the next 30 seconds.
Right.
It doesn't have to be. So I wanted to use that as an example. See, we can get you what you need. It doesn't have to be in this. And then this one, I know that the dashboard wasn't for this, but it seems like, Liza, that there might be some statistical significance measures that you may have lying around somewhere.
Yeah, we're hoping to get some help on analyzing that at some point. Yes, I mean, just looking at the data, it looks like we might have something that's statistically significant. When we just analyzed the descriptive statistics, Brian, we weren't seeing huge differences. But of course, we could probably drill down and get more detailed, and would love help on that.
I would love to help you find the resources for that. That is really such a good thing. I love the fact that you evaluated the data. You might not have all the data that you wanted right up front, but you're still basing your decisions on how you move forward based on observable metrics from CWI, not a study that someone did at Stanford. This is really great work, and I hope you are all very, very proud of it.
Thank you. I'm really grateful to Amy and Grace. Amy's been kind of amazing on this team, so we're really lucky to have her.
Thank you. And thanks, Liza. Thank you for asking.
All right, well, thank you so much. So any questions for Grace or Liza or Amy since she's on here? All right, well, very good. That wraps up our Throwback Thursday. I don't have a theme